Well, I didn't feel I was a natural businessman by any means. Dad was very much, manager of stockbrokers, that sort of thing, believed in the city and all that. And I sort of swore I'd never do anything for profit, and I didn't want, therefore, to work for a profit-making company. I could only work for the government. I was drawn to teaching and so forth. For other reasons as well, of course. I loved acting, and teaching is a continual act, really. Universities and college and so on was such fun to me, and I came to love study, partly because I became good at it, of course. What do you do if you love something anyway? But, yeah. But I went to the local market, as one does, and there's a few things there you realise they're incredibly cheap. Surely one could sell that at more than that price. So I bought a few things, and had a market stall and sold them, and realised you make a profit. Oh. Well, it doesn't seem too bad. I mean, the chap who sold it to me wanted to sell it at that price. I buy it, and I resell it at a better price. The person who buys it is willing to buy at that price. So if everyone's freely entering into the bargain, everybody's happy. And I'm very happy I've made a profit. Wow. And my son, sort of simultaneously, my first son, was doing the same thing. He was only a young lad, I don't know, guessing I'd say 14. And he went to an auction, and the auctioneer was, this suite of bedroom furniture was going for £8. Nobody wanted it. And my boy, being courageous or bold, says during the auction to the auctioneer, calls out, "Do you mean for the whole lot?" "Yes." "Do you want it?" "Yes," he said. So he bought it, didn't he? And he sold it for about, I don't know, 8 or 10 times what he paid for it, because he sold it off in bits and, well, in those days you advertised it and sold it second hand. There wasn't Trade Me, I think, to trade on and so on. The internet, that wasn't there then. And he realised he could do that, so he went to auctions and did exactly that. Bought and sold furniture and bits and bobs and sold them at a profit, and he's a natural entrepreneur. And I did the same for a while too. I mean, it made enough for me to emigrate to New Zealand from England, my wife and I. And I set him up with a car so he could, my son, so he could move his stock around and tables and so on if he was selling in markets and whatnot, hospitals. And my very good friend I taught from school days, his school days, I set him up in a car too. We all had Volvo cars, 240s. They were a big car. They're ideal for a market trader. And we tended to do actually hospitals. We were selling gifts in hospitals in England. It was very successful. And I decided, I don't know, subconsciously to begin with, but consciously after a while, I would only sell things that I appreciated and valued and thought were good value. With the sort of vague notion that if I was stuck with the stock, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I still had some really nice presents for people and things like that, and for myself down the years ahead. I've still got, for instance, a lovely woolen shawl poncho that we used to sell, that sort of thing. And I've got some soft toys and that still. I used to sell an enormous number of soft toys. Yeah, it was very successful. There's something about the entrepreneurial spirit that reaches out into possibilities. Possibilities that he wants, of course, not that he fears and dreads. And it's the sort of very foundation of life's initiative that you act upon what you hope for. And much of the world doesn't, and gets what's served up, like it or not, most of the time. The initiator of things is the one that gets the reward. Of course, he may get the great cost too. I mean, for every businessman that succeeded, how many have failed? And possibly, I'm not sure, but following the same principles. In fact, many of those that have succeeded, apart from those that, of course, just inherited a tremendous start anyway, but actual entrepreneurs that make it from nothing, well, they've made it and lost it, and made it and lost it again, and you could say finally made it, but they may still lose it again. But you ask them, in hindsight, was it worth it? And say, oh my goodness, yes. It's like Marshall with his wives, married 3 times and other relationships prior to that. Was it worth it? Oh my goodness, yes. That's what the richness of life was. The joy of loving them and being loved by them. I wouldn't be at it without it for the world. You see, you need to do what you value, not be trapped in what you fear. And, I may say, well, hang on, that's easier said than done, mate. I mean, there's a lot of risk out there. Okay. If you practice focusing on what you appreciate in your life, daily, hourly, each moment, in fact, it's nice and comfortable laying in bed talking to you at the minute, dictating into my phone. I'm in a nice house, nice place. I can hear the birds. It's a new day, Friday morning. I don't have to work. I'm retired. Wow, what a blessing. All the time is my own. What a blessing, what a freedom. Whatever it is, it might be a lovely partner, it might be good kids, it might be kids at all as opposed to no kids, it might be a house at all as opposed to no house. It might be food on the table as opposed to no food on the table. Recognize your blessings. You don't have to recognize who they're from. Just recognize how wonderful it is. You will want to thank whoever gives it. And most of what you have doesn't seem to have been particularly given as such by anyone. It's just come your way. You could say in a secular way, by good fortune. How amazing. How lovely. I would like God to exist. And that's the strange thing. To have moved as I was in my youth, where God was of no interest to me, to wanting him to exist because I was so fulfilled and happy and blessed as I saw it. I was in love. You can't be more happy than that, I can tell you. And I wanted to thank God for it, but he didn't exist. Well, I want him to exist. Well, I choose to believe he exists. I'm not going to miss this opportunity by choosing to believe he doesn't exist. That would be a nonsense. I'm much happier choosing to believe that he does exist. And I practice thanking him for everything in the end, even the little things that were going wrong. Because I was trusting him, wasn't I? I'd seen so much of what was good, I could trust him for what wasn't. So it's raining. Oh, that's not a problem. I'm sitting with her. That's what counts. The power of love, you see, drove me to loving God, especially when I didn't have her. Because I needed God then. So I chose to believe. I chose to trust. And the benefit from doing such has entrenched me in choosing to trust. Get out of my way, I know what's good for me, mate. Thank you, Dad. I say Dad because I follow the Jesus story, and I don't mean the Christian religion. I mean the Jesus story, where he emphasizes in the story to see God as Dad, perfect Dad. I didn't have a perfect dad. I don't suppose you did either. If you did, you're greatly blessed. But if you didn't like me, it doesn't stop you imagining what a perfect dad would be. I've been a dad most of my life. At present, my youngest child is 11, and my oldest is 49 or 50. I feel I've been a dad all my life, especially as I've been in teaching and lecturing. So I imagine him with Jesus to be perfect dad. I thank him accordingly. And you may think this is completely cuckoo. I've no evidence. Of course I've no evidence. Except the blessings I keep noticing. And perhaps you don't. Perhaps you've been trained to see the bad all the time. I've trained myself to see the good. And the reward is fantastic. I commend it to you. Whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things. Be extremely well practiced in thanking God. Your God, not someone else's. Not the God of your native religion or something, but your God. What you understand by your God, the personification of your values. It's the only thing you can truly love with all your heart, soul, mind and strength. It's the personification of what you value. And you're going to trust him to guide you into what you should value. And that will come with the fullness of time. And does. At least that's my experience. And so perhaps we hone in on exactly what he truly is. Whatever truth is. And I can't tell you what truth is, really. I can tell you, though, what works. And this works. Practice being thankful day in, day out. You will find you are flying very quickly. Amazing coincidences, synchronicities, blessings, miracles. You will be astonished how your life is transformed. Bless you, and you are blessed. You wouldn't be listening to me otherwise. You'd have stopped listening long ago. Bless you. Thank you, Dad.